Can we do a bonus review that our listeners are so fond of? Can we talk about JoJo's for like 20 seconds?
Oh yeah, you guys finished it, right? Or you
No,
finished
we're one
part
episode
5?
away.
Part 5.
Yeah, we're like 1 or 2 episodes away from the end of part 5.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not all the way there yet. Okay, wait. So where
No.
are you right now?
Noah literally was falling asleep on the couch last night.
I was not last night. I was the day before.
Oh, the day before.
Nina
All the
was,
days are
like,
blurred
Where are
together.
you at right now? What are the most recent? For our listeners, spoilers for part 5 of JoJo's Bizarre
Is it
Adventure.
Golden Experience? Is that
His stand?
Giorno's? Yeah.
Yeah.
Gold. Okay. I realized after watching the entire season that I've been thinking of it as Golden Wind, even though every other stand, I'm like, all right, what's the real name?
Oh,
His,
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, Golden Wind. Because it makes just as much sense as Gold Experience. So, but anyway, yeah, he just, it's Gold Experience Requiem.
Oh, he just got the Requiem
We
arrow.
just met that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he punched Diavolo.
Real hard.
And he's just like,
Real hard.
there's
Just
nothing
so
that
hard.
can stop what my vision is. My vision knows the future. It's like, my guy, we just went over this.
We just watched an upgrade.
I think you're being bypassed.
An upgrade of Dio's kid. At Dio and like Joestar adjacent. So that means that this kid definitely has some time powers in there. So fuck you. Like, are you kidding me? I knew the whole time, like, your powers are neat and all, and it seems like all of the Joestars have, except for Jotaro.
Yeah, all the Joestars have the same punch power.
Punch power.
Sort of, yeah.
Josuke and Giorno both have some element of life and healing. And then everyone's got some fucky time shit except for Josuke, because fuck Josuke, I guess.
Yeah, well, he doesn't.
I mean, Josuke's power,
kid.
Crazy Diamond,
What's he gonna do with that?
returns things to a previous
their-
state, so that's kind of time related.
Yeah, that's true. There's kind of a mix of time and healing.
One could argue that Araki has a greater plan to his characters. They would be wrong, but one could argue.
You could
I
argue.
think there's... You
See,
could argue.
The interesting thing about, like, you know, like the sort of the question that Nina just asked, like, is he more Dio's kid or more Jonathan's kid? Like, I feel like that kind of a question sort of goes all the way back to part 3, right? Like, when we first see Dio's stand and we find out that it's so similar to Star Platinum and they have all the same powers, it kind of makes you wonder, is the world truly Dio's stand, or did he kind of get that with Jonathan's body, right?
It feels like he definitely got it with Jonathan's body.
Yeah.
Because even Noah and I were talking, even Joseph's stand is time adjacent because he's able to translate something happening at a moment in time into a photo.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think that the Joestars pretty consistently have some time fuckery built into their stands. So
Best Dio has is being a vampire, and he's not even good at that.
Man, you guys are
pretty
going
good
to
at being
lose
a
it when you
vampire.
start watching Stone Ocean and you find out about
so
Jolene's
excited.
stand.
Oh,
I'm
I'm excited.
thrilled.
Trish is just keeping me alive right now, though.
Jolene
Trish
is
is
definitely
kinda
named
great.
after the Dolly Parton song,
I
right?
told Noah this.
I assume.
Okay.
I told Noah this. I realized why Trish is my favorite, and it's because she's very Speedwagon adjacent. She
is.
just says what's going on in the scene.
Yeah. laying on the ground.
She's
She's
just
like,
trying to
"Oh
figure
my
things out.
There's no one has filled the void that Speedwagon left in the party ever since our gay icon Speedwagon died.
And now Trish is here.
There's nothing will replace the experience of watching fucking JoJo's for the first time and just watching after he's like, wow, you're pretty cool. My name's Robert E.O. Speedwagon. I'm like, that man's stupid as hell. I hate him. And then the entire rest of the show is just him saying, oh my God, I can't believe Jonathan is walking over there and then he's going to turn right.
He's going to a place.
He turned
doing the
right.
thing.
He's going over there. And it's nothing
He's
will
immortal,
ever,
unkillable, unmatched.
There's nothing in the world that will ever beat the emotional and mental damage and pure joy that happened every single time Speedwagon spoke in
Right?
season 1 for the first time.
Yeah, the whole
Nothing
way
will
through
beat
the
that.
first 2 parts. It's fantastic.
Welcome back to Casual Obsession, the horror movie podcast where we talk about horror movies and not JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. I'm your host, Noah, and with me are your hosts. Yeah, that's right. Fuck you guys. I can't believe it. I set this up.
See, this is why I
don't
always
knock
do the
it
thing where
down.
I start saying everybody's names in the hopes that everybody will just say hi or something.
Hi,
Because I
I'm
feel like
Nina.
that's just a smoother way to go through it.
Hi, I'm Nina. I'm here on the horror podcast as well.
See, there's if you guys picked it up, I can edit out the awkward pauses, but no one picks it up. And I'm just sitting here like, y'all gonna say anything? And then Emma and someone says something at the same time.
Yeah.
And then that's...
Instead of doing a
that's the problem.
podcast today, we will just be doing a rundown of how the podcast normally
Emma's
goes.
not
It's
here
a
today,
meta
and that's why no one could
podcast.
start
it's
without
a podcast
her.
where all we talk about is the podcast itself
It's
and
a
how poorly it's
podcast
going.
Nothing.
Eat your heart out, Mark Zuckerberg. Meta. Okay,
And then
We're
there's
here.
Jeff.
and Jeff's
oh,
here.
right. I am also here.
We don't have Emma today. Emma is unfortunately out of town. Good for Emma, bad for us. But we do have a unique movie to show you this week.
It sure is.
It sure is something. This
guess
is
it
called
is.
ATM. I thought it was from 2011. A quick Google tells me I'm wrong, and it's 2012. I don't know which one's true, but what I do know is I watched this movie when it was like borderline brand new.
You did.
That's cool.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, was it
I-
was it like a shitty Netflix movie at the time?
Oh, it was. It
Oh,
was. I
what
honestly,
a time that was.
I thought I had watched it with you, but I guess I didn't.
I have no memory.
It must have been one of my late night movies. So yeah, ATM. This is a movie about what are their names?
David,
Do they
Corey,
have
and
names?
Emily.
Oh.
Yeah, so there's David, our protagonist, his friend Corey, and David's romantic interest Emily. They work at a finance company together. Where David just went and lost someone like half his 401k on Christmas Eve. So yikes. Poor
Bad time to
Dave.
do that.
And after the holiday party where Corey gets sloshed and just shit talks the guy that's sitting across from him constantly, David finally makes his move and he's gonna go take Emily home. But then Corey needs a ride, and then Corey's drunk and Corey wants pizza, so they stop at a little ATM booth, that little ATM house that I didn't even know existed, but I guess they do. And
Yeah, I was
then
gonna
they get
ask some
cornered.
questions about whether or not
Yeah, I
that's
think
a real thing at all.
The biggest plot hole in this movie, and there are several, is I have never even seen one of those.
Yeah,
And it's
what
like
the
it's
fuck?
maybe it's a city. I was gonna say maybe it's a city thing, but I've lived in a couple major cities and I've never seen anything like
Yeah,
that before.
it's so
Maybe it's New
weird.
York specific.
I was gonna say maybe it's a cold city thing.
Maybe they're in the
is,
Midwest or
thing that
some
I think is a
shit.
possibility. No, they're in New York City.
Oh,
They're
are
in-
they?
yeah,
They
it's
say
a
so?
city.
Yeah.
Which is what throws me off is they're definitely operating out of New York City, and it's cold as hell. But then, like after 2 minutes of driving, they are out of the city, far enough away that there's like a Christmas tree lot.
Yeah.
But anyway, to wrap up the short description real quick, they are cornered by Hooded Man, who, you know, he does Hooded Man things
Oh no.
and traps them in their little room, and the movie does go on from there. They die.
Oh, spoilers.
Spoilers.
So let me tell you about the critical reception of this movie.
What did the critics say about this movie?
IMDb.
Did they shit on it? I hope.
IMDb has it as a 4.7. I'm going to skip Rotten Tomatoes
Wait,
for a hot second. I'm
4.7
going
out
to
of
come back to
5?
this one. Out of 10.
Out of 10.
Okay, that's still
IMDb is
too
an out of 10.
much. What the fuck?
Metacritic has a whopping 0 because I couldn't find a Metacritic review for this one.
Good for them.
Letterboxd user reviews 2.1 out of 5, so that's a 4.2. It and IMDb holding pretty steady. But Rotten Tomatoes, you may remember, Jeff, I said I was going to pass on Rotten Tomatoes and come back to it because I thought you would like it.
Yeah.
Remember when I said that?
Yeah, what's going on
Yeah.
here?
So Rotten Tomatoes, I would like you to guess what number it is.
Are we talking the audience score or the tomato meter?
It's the tomato score.
Okay, I'm gonna say it's at like 20%.
Lower.
What?
Oh, I wish we
10%?
recorded this on video. Jeff about fell out of his seat. No, it's
10%?
higher. It is 12%. Rotten Tomatoes
12%?
says 12%.
Oh my god, that's appropriate though, actually.
Isn't it?
That's how good this
So,
movie
yeah,
is. It's
I
12%
got
good.
no clue what to say about this movie outside of
Oh my
that.
God.
Like,
I would like to say something.
actually, yeah, I think I know
Before we
what you want to bring up.
Before we started recording, we were looking at like the information about this movie, and there was
Oh, wait. 69% of Google users liked this movie.
there's a Google review for this movie that says
Uncommon.
the movie was original and well made for its budget. People must keep things like budget into the equation. They are so they love this movie. You can tell by the passion in their voice that they think that people are being too hard on this
I'm gonna
movie.
check
What was
IMDb
the
to see what the
budget?
movie's budget is because
We're gonna
I gotta
find
be
out.
honest, it can't be.
Because I'm finding the box office get, which is only $1 million in 2012.
I gotta be honest. That's better than some of the box office gets that we've
Wait,
had.
scroll
It's
down to
better
the
than it
IMDb
deserves,
review
God.
again. Not as bad as people are making it out to be. Is the
budget-
review on-
Okay, so the budget is an estimated $3 million.
Ouch. I bet $1 million of that was just Josh Peck.
Now, hold on. For reference, Insidious only cost
Less
$1
than
million
that.
to make.
Yeah.
Insidious had 1/3 the budget of this movie, and it is so
And,
much better
like-
on so many levels.
And 3 times the number of actors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to compare apples and oranges, but I would like to point that I don't want to be mean to the director for this movie, who I
I
can't.
do.
My respect for James Wan goes up a little bit
David
every
Brooks.
time.
I don't want to be too mean to David
what
Brooks.
else has David Brooks done? That name's
That's
so
what I was
familiar.
about to say.
But
What
he
else has
has-
he done?
He's done. Let's see, not much that I have seen. Producer. Doesn't look like he's directed much.
He
Oh, that makes
okay, yeah, no,
sense.
ATM is it. Why does that name sound familiar then? He's done a short film in 2009 as well, but
Yeah, he's helped produce The Den, if you're familiar.
Wow, this guy does not have many credits at all. I'm not familiar with
He
the
really
Den.
doesn't. And neither am I.
is that
but
it looks like
looked
a
familiar.
zoomy.
No,
movie.
it's too old for that.
Yeah,
Well,
2013.
it's not too old for it, but
Uh,
yeah. Anyway, not to be too mean to David Brooks, the producer who decided to direct, but this movie is not good.
it's very bad.
Now, that is not to say I didn't still like it a little bit, because it was kind of fun still, but I did. Oh, the Metacritic score is 34. 34%.
34. Oof.
Yeah, nobody liked this movie. That's okay.
Right.
So I would
well,
like
except for a
to-
couple
I
of
would
very
like to
angry
say-
Google reviewers.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
couple people are like big fans of this movie and are like, it's
Why?
not as bad as people say it is. I have 3 really big problems with this movie that we will get to when we get to them.
Only 3. Okay.
I will say.
I said really big. I have millions of small problems. but I
Okay,
have 3
okay. I
big
was about to
ones.
say, I think if I were to try and write down all my problems with this movie, we would be here all week.
I have one good thing to say about this movie, but we'll get to that too.
Okay.
So I would like to say I liked this movie way more the first time I watched it. It holds up very poorly to a second watch.
I can only
I
imagine.
bet.
I was really hoping that wouldn't be the case, because I wanted this to be like a decent entry into the mini series that I personally will be running from my next few choices of
What's that?
small location horror movies, single location ideal, like
Okay.
tight cramped stuff. I think that would be fun.
To
This
its
one,
credit,
I think,
this
is a good
movie is
example
indeed
of
tight and cramped.
tight space. If only it was better. But we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
Jeff, on a scale of, let's say, 1 to 10,
1 to 10.
what would you rate this movie?
I
Hypothetically.
would rate this movie a 1.
I
This
think
movie
that's
really
reasonable.
fucking sucked, and I don't think I can
I'm
think of
interested.
very many things good about it at all.
Can I go
that's fair.
next?
Nina, yeah. Why don't you go next?
I'm
Nina?
giving this 2 for potential.
2 for potential.
Okay.
It could have been. I will talk a lot about things that I actually think would have been good if, like, Jeff and I were talking before we started recording this, and I was like, I think that this feels like a first draft, and a lot of the problems that I have with this movie might have been fixed if they had given it like 30 seconds of thought. So
it feels like the writing process got interrupted before they could get to several things, right?
Right. Yeah, there's like
they
several
straight up
things
just didn't have time to work on having a villain or something.
Right. And
so
well,
they just
and
didn't come up with one.
There's a specific moment that I think could have been gut-wrenching if they had worked out how it would actually happen instead of just doing it.
Yeah. There's a couple of those, I think. Anyways,
in a minute though.
Noah,
we gotta talk
about what you think
the rest of the movie. Oh yeah. I'm gonna give it a 5. Because
you're giving it a 5?
I'm giving it a 5.
You doofus, you're gonna have to defend that position for the rest of the next hour.
Oh, I believe it. Realistically, it deserves much lower. But I have to factor in personal enjoyment. I think if I was being critical, I would give this movie a 3. Because I do think that it's a good concept. I do think that there's a way that this movie works and that it just didn't in this sense. But I'm giving it a 5 because I had fun with it still. And part of that definitely comes from Josh Peck, and I will elaborate on that later.
Okay.
I am changing my mind, and I bumped it down to a 4. This has lost a full star rating in the 5 minutes we've been talking. Just so that everyone is aware. I had put a 6, and then you guys put so low, and I'm like, you know what? No, you're right. It doesn't even deserve that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have dropped a full star, just because I'm feeling self-conscious and realistic.
You poor thing.
But this is the correct choice.
I think making it twice as much as I rated it is generous.
So yeah.
I definitely think 4 is still a bit too much to be giving it, but that's fine. It's all opinions.
I'm sorry, 2 full star ratings. If you're going by the 10 system, I was saying 1 because I was going out of 5. Yeah, so 4 out of 10 instead of 6 out of 10. My initial gut reaction of this is kind of fun still. So yeah, that's my rating, 4 out of 10. I will give a lot of reasons for that in a minute, but first, honestly, there's not a lot of non-spoilery stuff to talk about. It just gets down into details and who dies first. Because, not to shit on early 10s movies, but this is just an early 10s movie.
Yeah.
Jeff, you didn't know this, but we watched the director's cut. 5 whole extra minutes in that one.
Oh.
I don't know what the difference is because
I don't know where the extra 5 minutes were, but we didn't need them.
No, yeah, we definitely didn't. But the cool thing about director's cuts movies is that was a huge trend in the early 2000s and the early 10s. Because studios realized they could sell the movie twice.
Yeah.
If you went and saw it in the theater, but then there's the gritty and untamed version.
Yeah, I was about to say, what about the unrated cut? That was a big part of that as
cuts, well. All that stuff, the director's cut, that was huge. And a lot of movies actually were made with the intention of that happening. Like they shot the whole thing for the unrated cut, and then they made the theatrical cut. But the real version of it was the unrated cut.
Taken's one of those.
They added extra stuff in to make an unrated cut that doesn't need to exist, but they had to add something in.
All right, I take back my previous statement about Taken. It is both of those, actually.
The only director's cut that I have ever seen that felt like both versions were justified was Dr. Sleep. Because it was so long even without the extra content. But the extra content added so much characterization.
When did you watch it?
Dr. Sleep?
Yeah, the non-director's cut.
I watched James's comparison.
Oh, okay, the comparison. Okay.
Yeah,
I was gonna say because I don't really feel like watching the non-director's cut because that's what we watched first.
Shout out!
I still haven't seen it at all.
Oh, it's so
worth it.
That's what I hear.
Shout out to Dead Meat. Who, if you're listening to us and you don't know who Dead Meat are, then
I apparently haven't talked enough yet. But on that note, shout out to Dead Meat Podcast. The interview with Joe Lynch among other things, a director of a Wrong Turn movie.
Ah.
Where I get my information about the unrated cuts and stuff like that. He talks about that for a solid 15 minutes. It's actually really neat.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Also, just the creation of his specific Wrong Turn movie, dead insane.
Oh,
Very worth listening just for that.
okay.
It's very cool.
It's never even occurred to me to get into the Wrong Turn movies at all.
Don't bother.
Because I remember seeing part of like the third one once
Yeah,
and
it
being
sucks.
like, wow, this is incredibly stupid. But
The
like,
second one, they add Henry Rollins.
okay,
Wait,
you got my
Henry
attention.
Rollins.
They jump the shark immediately.
Henry Rollins.
It's a fourth movie concept in the sequel. You can't tell me that was a good idea.
Okay, what Wrong Turn feels like to me with my knowledge of not having seen but having watched kill counts, it feels like Texas Chainsaw Massacre ripoff. Walmart brand Texas Chainsaw.
It very much is. It's the
yeah.
let's be afraid of people who live in the woods version
With
of
a
Texas
little bit
Chainsaw.
of like the Saw era, like gore
Oh,
and
oh,
kills.
absolutely, yeah.
That's not something that any part of me would want to get into. But
Right.
You know what else you don't want to get into?
You know what
is
else?
ATM.
Yeah, you know what has none of those things that I just mentioned, but I still don't like it? ATM.
Now,
Yeah. We got
you
both
know,
ends of
long
the
time-
spectrum, both terrible.
longtime fans of the show will know Emma usually helps us and figure out the order of things. I am remembering. Don't you worry.
Okay.
Next up is content warnings.
You know Emma's
Um,
listening to this right now, just like, when are they going to get to the point?
If Emma
without
is
a doubt.
not, then her partner is.
And will at the very least pass on this very frustrating exchange for her. Anyway, though, here we are. Content warnings. All I have, because this is a really cut and dry movie. You're watching a horror movie about a guy who traps people in the ATM box and kills them. And the only actual like content warning I can think of outside of your standard, hey, some guy's gonna kill people. There is Josh Peck using the R slur once.
Boom.
Because it's 2012, and
Yep.
apparently we're allergic to not using slurs.
That wasn't even a slur at the time. It was not acknowledged at all. So
Well, yeah, but
I mean,
not that it isn't.
neither
but,
was,
I
like,
knew people who were saying that you shouldn't say it, so
in 2012, yeah.
Oh,
I
you know,
think
without a
let's not give them
absolutely.
the benefit of the doubt.
not too much
there.
of a benefit of the doubt, but it
Nah.
was their very easy way to be like, oh, this guy's a douchebag. And
I feel
Yeah,
like
it's true.
everything
Every
else that he
douchebag-
says over the course of the movie proves that to us, though. They didn't have
I'm
to
not-
drive it home extra hard.
I am not defending the use of the R slur, but what I will say is that every douchebag I knew in 2012 used it way more liberally than just once in like however many hours this movie takes place
Oh,
over.
Jesus, yeah. It was
So-
terrible. It was a bad time.
if this
It
movie was made
awful.
today, Josh Peck would be super into crypto.
He would. Oh my god,
yeah.
you're not even joking.
That's all he would
just
talk about.
That's what he'd talk about at the parties. He would talk about NFTs.
But they would do it really awkwardly.
It would not
It would
be
be
right.
terrible.
yeah.
It
It
would,
would
so
not be
poorly
nearly
written.
as natural as his garbage monologues in this one.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
Next up, we do have Emma's scary rating. Emma, not here. Emma hasn't seen the movie. However, I think I can very squarely say Emma would give this a 2. Now, Emma can come and correct me, but my prediction is that this movie is a 2 because freezing to death is scary,
It is.
and that's it. I don't think that.
it's the
anything
only
else in
scary
this
thing in the
movie-
movie.
I think that this in the meme era, 10 out of 10 meme era scary. I think this movie would have fit perfectly into that.
Oh, sure.
But I think I can say that there are elements of Poltergeist that are scarier than this movie.
100%.
Like the big mouth, the clown doll,
That spooky
You know.
ghost skeleton that sat in front of the door that one time.
the swimming pool full of actual bodies.
The guy ripping his own
Plenty of
face
other stuff
off.
is scary.
The
Yeah.
exploding steak on the counter.
The exploding steak was really scary, Jeff, and I'm actually kind of pissed that you reminded me of it.
Oh, sorry. It is
Jeff,
starting to get
let's
a little
talk about
dark
this movie,
out.
you say as there's just like a blinding glare coming in through your window.
It looks darker in person.
Be not afraid, ass bitch. Oh yeah, no, it's not the scary in person. Anyway, let's talk about this movie. I don't I feel like I should give like a fresh outline of it because we've bullshitted our way through this enough. So let me come back to it real quick. All right, David, right?
The main character? Yeah.
David, yes.
David, Corey, Emily. All right. So David wants to ask out Emily, and Corey says, "Yeah, bro, do it." So he does. But Corey also had him like, "Hey, you're going to be my ride home, right?" So that he could get as sloshed as he wants to without paying for a taxi. So what ends up happening is he third wheels really hard and's like, "Well, I want pizza," and they only take cash, and so we have to stop at an ATM. So they stop at an ATM, but his card doesn't work. So he's going to get cash, but instead of, pulling close to the ATM box, they park like 300 feet away in -3-degree weather that gets colder and colder as the night goes on. And Emily's like, "Well, I don't want to be left here alone." Emily goes in there with them, and then as they turn around to get ready to leave, whoop-de-doo, it's the Hood Man.
Oh,
Mr. Wintercoat himself, the big fuzzy face.
he's Mr. Icicle.
I don't know. I wish he had a name, right? Like
I wish he had anything.
anything. This is the perfect example of this is a perfect early 2000s horror antagonist.
He barely
Like,
exists.
he
All we know
barely
about him is that he
exists.
does stuff.
It's clear they're trying to make him scary and like as iconic as other like horror villains.
Yeah, like they want him
but
to be
they don't know
mysterious,
how.
but they don't give us enough. It's
Yeah.
like
No.
it is a full hour into the movie before we even get a shot where we see his eyes.
Yeah.
I don't
The
even
dude
need
is
to
literally
see.
nothing in the movie.
It feels
the
like they
whole
saw the
thing.
poster for The Thing. You know, the one where it's the
Yeah.
parka face
Yeah,
with the
just
face
the
like
silhouette.
flared out.
What if we'd made that?
What if we made that, but
Except-
there was no cool shape-shifting alien and it's in an ATM?
It's just a parka guy.
It's just a parka guy.
Yeah,
parka
and then the
guy is the
person they were
scariest
pitching
part of
the
the
idea
thing.
of the story to was like, "What do you mean in an ATM? They're just a box on a wall."
So
And the guy's
They're
like,
like,
"Well,
"Oh."
no, sometimes they got little glass gazebos built
Okay.
around them to shield you from the winter weather conditions. Haven't you ever
So
seen those
here's-
before? They're real."
Executive who doesn't want to feel out of touch. Yes, of course. Continue.
Of course,
Yeah,
as
of
you know.
course.
So you guys know, everyone who listens to this podcast knows how I feel about like character design. So I would love to talk about that more in a bit if
Okay.
you want to keep going with the spoilery discussion here.
Oh, right, the synopsis.
So what ends up happening is Emily is just like, he's just waiting to use the ATM, which is stupid because there's no reason for him to wait out there in -3-degree weather for them
None.
to leave. And then some guy walking his dog shows up. The dog does not die.
That's
Big,
true.
big asterisk there. Dog does not die.
Which for a 2012 horror movie,
better
pretty
than
Impressive.
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 But yeah, the dog barks and then runs away, and Parka Man speed walks right over to that guy, and he's like, "Oh, hey, sorry." And Parka Man bashes his head into the concrete till he's dead. And then it's as he stands up, you can see that that's not even a remotely human-looking dummy that he was bashing the head into. It's very clearly a stuffed mannequin.
And the whoever it was that was doing their like Foley sound design stuff was really on fire with the head smashing into concrete sound. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
they
that
were
man was
slapping
destroying
a
a
cut
cabbage.
pineapple against something. I'm pretty sure that's how they made that sound.
I think they were also stomping on a cabbage. The classics.
The classics.
Maybe. I'm going for the pineapple slap as my final answer, but
The pineapple.
You never know.
These sound like just some like. I'm not gonna get into that. We're not gonna talk about it. We're gonna keep going.
So
All
yeah,
right.
dog runs away, and we have a dead body. If Parka Man disables the heater in the ATM box, and because here's the thing. Emily had a coat and a hat and gloves and everything.
these people are not
But
dressed
then-
for the weather. What
No.
was their plan?
Like everyone was dressed for the weather, but then they were in the car, and suddenly they aren't dressed for the weather anymore. They're in
Yeah.
the car, like, "Oh, I'm sorry that his Ford Taurus like heated up immediately. Congratulations on having a good, quick heating car, whatever it is he's driving." Because none of them had their stuff on, and they all got out of the car in this freezing weather, and didn't grab their coats at all. Josh Peck is the only one with a coat. But anyway, eventually a local security guard comes by, the local security guard, as he does, and he walks up to them and they're like, help, he's here. And he's like, are you guys okay? Because they're stupid and they don't open the door to yell to him.
Yeah, and they're smacking their hands on the glass while they
There's
yell.
Like a bunch of wind.
There's too much wind, but they're not explaining. One person should be talking. Obviously, when you're panicked, you don't know.
Sure.
But like, one person should be saying, look out, there's a murderer here. And the guy's just like, are you okay? Looking around with his little flashlight, and then he sees the body, and then he gets absolutely destroyed by that crowbar that Parkaman picked up. And let's see. Movie fast forwards a little bit. It's not going well. Josh tries to run away after they murder a passerby.
There's a good deal of infighting from our main characters.
There's so much infighting. And then they murder a man who was dressed like Parkaman, who was just there to use the ATM.
Because who would wear a parka in -6-degree weather? Only one person in all of New York would fucking wear a parka in that weather. Because we know this because our three main characters are wearing suit jackets and the lamest coat you've ever seen.
Yeah. So that happens.
They're dressed for like late fall. What is going on?
Yeah.
Like,
they're not dressed for this frigid night that they're experiencing.
No. If you live in a place that gets down to -5 in the night, it gets pretty cold during the day as well. You've got to dress for that shit. Even if you're driving, like, come on.
For what it's worth, this is not a closeted Christmas movie. This is an explicitly Christmas movie.
Yeah. They got Christmas songs in the beginning and everything.
Yeah, if it weren't for the fact that the beginning credits were like cut between David on his way to work and the crime scene that they picked David up from at the end of the movie, you would think that this is just another holiday rush. Oh, got to get all of our presents before the last minute. Got to get my Turbo Man type of movie. And
yeah, it really comes across that way. That's one thing that the movie does well. It acts like a Christmas movie at the beginning, and that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of maybe two things that the movie does well.
Are we ready to... Oh, we still going.
No,
we gotta finish.
This is it. I mean, there's not much else to talk about. The Parkaman fills up the ATM room with water because
my least favorite
there's running water at the Christmas tree stand for some reason.
To water the Christmas trees, dude. You do have to do that.
In the... Outside in the winter? No. Christmas tree lots do not water their trees. You cannot
This guy doesn't think Christmas tree farms use water.
Oh, the farms do, but not once they're on the lot. Those are dead trees.
I think they do.
You do have to water them, no?
Not when it's that cold.
You do have to water them.
Not when it's that cold.
It was only that cold because it was the middle of the night.
I don't know.
I want to fight you on this one,
but
man.
Anyway, I don't fucking care. This movie is so fucking stupid.
With all that said, the hose is not like an ordinary garden hose kind of deal.
No,
it's like a fire hose.
It is 100% a fire hose.
What?
Yeah, it's a canvas hose. He puts it into the ceiling vent and fills up the entire room. It ends up getting like chest deep,
which is fucking impossible. This is I will
there's no
rant about this now.
Door.
Why did they do that? Why did they think that was? I hate Tens movies because they really just like Final Destination
so much dumb shit.
It really just runs with the like intrusive thought nature of like, what if this thing happened, and you can rationalize away why it wouldn't happen. They don't do the rationalizing. They're like fucking ghost ship. They're like, what if a wire was just so taut that it sliced through like 50 people's bodies? And it's like, that would never happen. And they're like, I don't care. We're doing it anyway.
Well, but like, what if it did though?
Oh my god, what if you drowned in an ATM booth? You know those ATM booths?
Yeah, I know about the ATM booth.
Yeah, of course I know about the ATM booth.
We're making big fun of these ATM booths. I guarantee they actually exist, and we've just never seen
I don't think they do. See, I was kind of wondering if it was like one of those things that like maybe existed in the past but not so much anymore, like a phone booth or something. But then I was like, well, no, I've never seen this in any older movies either. Like, I just don't think this is a thing.
No, okay, so they do exist, but not like as big as this.
It looks like it's like enough to fit like one person, which makes sense.
Like a phone booth.
Like a phone booth.
Yeah, because like the size of that thing, and they've got all those like What, papers and shit? What are
Yeah,
those?
it's like a full banking
Yeah,
setup that they
somebody
have in
has to
there.
stock that. And with that much floor, somebody has to go in and clean it as well. And it's not like attached to anything. You kind of get the idea from the presence of the security guard that we're close by to like a mall parking lot or some shit, but like
Maybe.
it's not anything. It's not anywhere that you would expect something like that to be. It's just
Yeah,
dumb.
and everything I'm seeing, none of the ones I've seen are as big as this one, with the exception of this one right here that I see has 4 ATMs in it, and it actually looks more like the entrance to a building rather than an independent booth.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it shouldn't be a standalone thing, right? It should be at the
there's a
very
few
least connected to
cities have a few
something.
standalone, and they're set up this way so that they have like a little privacy to them. They can be heated so that things run a little smoother, I guess, but like not like this. Not like this by
Yeah.
a long shot. But anyway, yeah, so the movie ends up ending with the cops thinking David did it all, because sprinkled throughout the movie you see these little shots from the ATM camera and you realize Parka Man's never seen. You can't see him at all. And all you see is David flipping out inside the room and attacking the ATM and killing a man and looking like he kills his friend and dropping Emily like head first onto a counter and just in general making a mess, even though it's very clear that there's no way he could have done the whole thing, because there's like stuff that happens outside that you should be able to see.
Yeah.
He can't see that, apparently.
Yeah, like it should see the fact that he was inside the thing when it got hit with his car.
Yeah.
But
it also
the-
it shows in the ending thing, it's like
The cameras went out before any of the car shit happened.
oh,
that's right. The cameras went out before everything like that happened. But like it also shows the video like chopped up, so it's implied maybe Parka Man cut the video so it incriminates David more.
I think it was to do with like the ATM camera itself being like proximity and motion activated. So it's
Maybe.
not just watching the whole time.
That's possible.
I think that
But
was what they were
anyway-
trying to indicate, at least. It's how I saw it.
But the movie ends with Parka Man at a storage unit with a secret room in it. Like
Why
all
would you
storage
have a
units
secret room in a storage
That,
unit?
like,
I was
shouldn't
so
be
mad when
able
I
to
saw
happen.
that.
Like, did he build a
What?
false wall out of like crinkle
Yeah.
fucking steel?
Yeah, what was
if
that?
anybody
Like, what the
finds
fuck?
that, if anybody goes into your storage unit, they're going to be looking closely enough to know that it doesn't match the specified dimensions, and they're going to know
Of
that you
every
put
other
in your
storage- yeah.
fake wall. So
Yeah.
what's the
I am
point of
so
that? What?
ticked about that last scene. I did not need to be there. It does not add anything to the
Yeah.
story. I don't give a shit that he
Yeah.
planned all that shit.
Yeah, it shows like his clear maps of he does a bunch of different ATMs apparently, and it's not him trying to steal from the ATM, it's him murdering people at these ATM booths.
Yeah.
Where he maps out like camera view and other cameras in the area and where
And
he
then
needs to
just-
stay to be hidden.
And then what? Just waits for somebody to show up in the middle of the night?
Apparently.
I
To do
have
what?
so-
There's no way he planned out the events of this movie.
No.
It's
okay,
not
let me
possible.
talk
He's
about
clearly
this.
unhappy about how it
Okay,
goes. Go
I'd
for
like
it,
to
Nina.
talk about the character design and motivations for this villain.
Okay.
It would be great if he
Firstly,
had one.
It would be great if he had it. Secondly, the stuff that he does have greatly diminishes. There is a way to do a villain in a movie like this where you don't give him any motivation and he doesn't really have any character. A lot of creature movies do this. A lot of creature features are not going to have like a lot of motivation. They'll have a way a creature works,
Mhm.
but you know, nothing else. I think that could have worked here. I think if he had just been some crazy fucking dude, it would have been more scary. That's another thing that, like, sometimes as a writer, you write something and you want to make it work. And then you realize, no, that's not going to work at all. I should take it a completely different direction. I think if they had abandoned the idea that he had planned all of this out and abandoned this kind of twist ending of him being framed on purpose, it could have still been people think that he did the crime because there is no camera evidence and there's just 3 dead people.
Yeah.
It's like the original ending to Get Out, where they were going to have Chris be guilty or be found guilty of, because there's just a bunch of dead people. You don't need to have the like weirdly cut camera footage. So you could have just abandoned that plot point, had them like break the camera trying to escape, and then everything from the moment that they like see him out there is gone.
Yeah.
Done. David has been framed. Then just have the other guy be a crazy psycho dude. That's fine.
Yeah.
Just
or
have him murder people.
Have him like pick them on the street outside the party when they're like trying to get their cab or whatever.
Yeah.
Rather than having him just staking out this random fucking ATM and waiting for somebody to show up.
It makes less sense that he has a plan than it would if he decided to tail them, you know?
Yeah.
It would be, and if they want to have him have character, a fun thing to have done would have been to have him maybe be some kind of incel that like sees that fucking David's trying to get with her, and he traps them in the ATM. He takes Corey out, and in the 11th hour, he says something about how he was giving David his chance to be with Emily. Like, there's some like creepy, crazy like ideas that you can do when you're in a pigeonhole situation like that, especially with the setup of the romantic thing. But instead, they went with the dumbest one.
And worse still, even with the terrible concept of the villain, it's also poorly executed because we get literally nothing about him for the entire goddamn movie. And then not even during the movie, but during interrupting the credits is when we get the scenes of him where we see all of his plans and shit. So it's like the movie is over and then it comes back and it's like, oh, wait, by the way, he had a plan. He planned everything meticulously, except that it was also kind of random. Yeah.
And that is not the director's cut feature. Unless the movie I watched on Netflix was the director's cut, that is not what that is. Yeah. They were sequel baiting so hard with this movie.
But you can't possibly make a sequel to this.
No. He's not. It's, honestly,
another ATM. It's the ATM killer.
Did you ever watch
literally
No.
Collector? And Collection? So like a lot of people like the movies. I didn't really care for them.
They sell for a lot of money.
They are ironically enough, collectible.
What the bad guy in that wears like some weird human leather clothes or something, right?
Yeah, something like
looks
that.
like it,
Doesn't he have like he looks like he has a butthole face, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Butthole
hard to
face
do
yeah,
right.
Hold on, I'm gonna send a picture to
It's
them.
like black leather, but it's also black canvas. It's weird.
Okay.
It was a
right.
popular franchise.
Sure.
A very popular franchise. But I do not know how they made a second one. Because it is the good equivalent to this movie. And that's a big quotation marks for me because I didn't care for it.
Okay. I haven't heard anything about it, so I don't know. It's kind of like
it is a generally loved movie.
Okay. But like it kind of reminds me of like Speed. You know, like they shouldn't have made a sequel to Speed because you can't with something like that.
Yeah.
But then they did.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and so my thing with this movie, I wanna circle back to the like things they should have done kind of side of things real quick.
Okay.
The thing that I liked the most about this movie was the scene where they kill the guy that looks like the killer. I think part of the beauty of having a character that looks as just unremarkable as this guy in a parka is that you can do a kind of mistaken identity thing. The idea of these characters having to grapple with the fact that they're killers while in this like box situation could have led to some like, if like say, I don't know, let's think of one director who could have done this better. If like Mike Flanagan or someone who has like an ounce of like critical thinking about the human condition had done this, and you're like stuck in a situation with a dead body and you cannot get out of this small room with the dead body of a guy you killed by mistake, that's going to do things to your brain that's more than just, I want to punch my friend now.
Yeah.
You know, have them moralize about whether or not it's okay to take the coat instead of Corey just doing it and no one's stopping
Yeah.
him. You know, like
Nobody
that could
even
have been a
said
really
anything
interesting
about that.
setup. If they're gonna have it be like, oh, they tore themselves apart from the inside, that's a really interesting concept. Where
Yeah.
like he's
That's
a
a
psycho
thing for them
killer,
to
but
fight
he's,
about real bad.
and it's like he kills one person to scare them, but other than that, his real game is to watch them kill each other, and like that makes sense. That would be really interesting because I think that could happen. Like,
Sure.
I wish it had.
And that's
because
a far more interesting MO for your villain.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we don't have a character, that's a far more interesting way for him to operate, at least. James Wan, I think, could have done this okay.
Yes. I think in the first, if you're going to do a first, because they clearly wanted to do sequels, I think if you're going to do a first movie of a series that has a killer like this, you just need to do the MO in the first movie.
Yeah.
You need to have an intriguing MO. You don't need to have a backstory. And then in future movies, you can kind of like with, we were talking about Leatherface. I know that
I was going to say like Saw.
Yeah. No, exactly.
You do get
fucking
reasons
Jigsaw.
in Saw, but it is mostly just setting up the way he does it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like that would make sense. And I feel like that's what they were trying to do because this was in the like era of like Saw.
I was gonna say this dropped
the
right
Texas
after the last
sequels.
Saw movie aired, like within a few years.
Oh yeah.
You know, and the Final
Yeah.
Destination movies trying to expand on why things happen in them, and like this kind of era of horror movies trying to have a lot of lore, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's what this movie kind of tried to do, the lore dump at the very end of the first movie, and it hurt itself real bad. But yeah, I have a lot of feelings about this movie. I don't know.
Shit, when did Hush come out?
Same area, I think.
It was like 2014, right? Just like a couple years afterward. Because I feel like that's the
2016.
The good 2016. Okay, I feel like that is the good execution of this kind of villain.
Yeah,
because you don't learn anything about him, but you kind of end up feeling like you do because you see the way he reacts to things, and he does things that suggest character depth.
He speaks.
Yeah,
that's a huge thing.
He
The
acts
silent
like a
antagonist
whole
is something that only worked in larger than life slashers from the 80s. Like you can't have a silent antagonist that their whole thing is just standing there menacingly.
Yeah.
You have to earn standing there menacingly. Like Jason or Michael, you could just set up somewhere and have them stand. And that's okay.
Half of
But
Michael's
that's because
thing.
you have 8 movies of setup that makes it okay.
Yeah.
Like you have multiple movies of big quotation mark character development for your silent antagonist. But you have time where you had them just standing there quietly, minding their business, so that when it came time for you to just have a figure that stands there and is scary, it means something.
Yeah, this guy hasn't done much to back it up when he just stands
This guy,
there.
at worst, or at best, is, scary homeless man. To which, of course, we were clarified. He doesn't look homeless.
Of
So
course.
he can't be.
No, yeah, because
that's
big
how that
guys can't be
works.
homeless is something that they say in the movie.
Yeah, he's big.
The
Big
guy's
guys can't
not
be
even
homeless.
big. He's wearing a winter
I
coat.
would
You
like
can't
to-
tell if he's big.
I would like to actually interject here and say that
Okay.
personally, I think you can do like a movie where just a dude in a parka standing outside of an ATM is gonna be scary.
Sure.
But I think that you need to deliver on it because I did feel a little bit of tension, like as just I'm scared of people. People scare me sometimes. You gotta get and I think this movie, one thing that it does well is setting up a situation where you would kind of be scared of a dude just standing in a parking lot like that, where he's just like, Mom said it's my turn on the Xboxing outside. 'Cause like you're drunk, it's 2 a.m., it's -5 out, you just wanted some money for fucking everything is going wrong, you're already frustrated, and now there's just a fucking dude standing there staring at you and he's not coming in the ATM. Yeah, that would freak me out a little bit. But
Sure.
that leads me to my next point, which is at that point, if you're not sure what he's going to do, you don't think he has a weapon, you haven't seen him kill anyone yet, all three of you leave, and if he starts coming toward you, all three of you run. And that's the end of the fucking movie.
Yeah.
Like,
It kind of
that's
seems like
literally it. It's
they don't
like,
act the way that you would expect people to act in that situation. Like, they get freaked out, but I don't think most people would just hunker
No.
down.
Well, here's the double issue though. Is I don't think when we talk about stuff like that, we're not factoring the cold in enough. I think is the problem because none of them were equipped to run in the cold.
Sure.
And hunkering down until 6 a.m. when they thought people would be there versus running around in the cold in an area where, let's be realistic, doesn't look like there's a lot of stuff there.
No.
I don't think they're going to find a house or anything. It looks like they're in like an industrial area.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing there, you know? So rather than running around, because they did try to get the car and the car wouldn't start because it had already been sabotaged somehow.
right, it had already been
How?
sabotaged
Yeah,
that when
what?
he went over and got into their car. And I get that the clicker doesn't work because Noah's clicker doesn't work. So I
Oh,
get
neither
it.
does mine.
Nice.
But like,
My button fell out.
his button fell
Oh,
out.
mine just stopped working. I think it got sand in it.
Understandable.
That would make
Have
sense.
a nice day.
But
More
no,
like understandable, am I right?
That's kind of fair, but they didn't, at the point where it hadn't been sabotaged, I'm talking about before they had seen him kill anyone, because they had
Yeah.
seen him kill someone before he sabotaged the car. I am just talking about when there's a dude out there.
Mhm.
At that point, there's no reason. You are three people. I don't care if he is a killer. At that
Yeah.
point, like, let's say, Jeff, for the sake of argument, you and Noah and I are in an ATM, and there is a dude out there standing weird. Are we gonna, like, it's cold, sure, whatever. So we want to get home fast. Are we
Yeah.
gonna stand there for what until the point where he like is able to go over and kill someone, or
Man
are we
has
just
done
gonna like?
absolutely nothing. He's just standing there.
He's just standing there. We
He's
could,
being
the
weird,
three
but
of
all three of us at once, I'm not worried.
I'm not worried
Nobody
about
by
the three of us at
themselves is going to
once.
try and rob three people at once. Nobody.
Right. No, and if we all three walk together, even if he comes up to and starts attacking one of us, the other two can
Yeah.
do something about it.
There's
Because
three of
There's
you.
three of us.
That's
That's what I don't get is like,
Yeah.
I know he's a quote unquote big dude as the movie tries to say, but
He
Josh
doesn't
Peck and
look-
Dave are not small like men.
no. And
Like,
this guy
they're
doesn't
just
look
dudes.
particularly big. He doesn't even look like he's tall.
He's just wearing a
regular
parka.
sized
Those
man.
things
He's just a
puff
dude in
you
a
up.
winter coat. Like
Mhm.
Like, yeah, no, he's not even like Michael size where it's like you might be a little worried if you tried to walk past that guy.
Yeah,
but like,
sure.
You're still three people. I know that Corey's like fucking sloshed, but still, this is
Yeah.
before he's had the chance to set up traps, sabotage your car,
Yeah.
kill another person. Like, just go. That's my
Yeah.
biggest problem is that like this movie could have been over so fast. Noah Space, what's up?
Should've.
What are your thoughts?
I was just waiting.
Oh, I'm done.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much else to say. The
Yeah.
character motivations don't make a lot of sense.
All right, so let's take a break from talking about big issues. We can come back to big issues in a few minutes. I want to talk about
Yeah.
dumb little nitpicky shit.
Yeah.
Oh, go for it.
The bottle that Corey takes from the party. What the fuck is that? It looks like a whiskey
Tequila.
bottle. The contents
tequila.
look like, oh, okay.
Yep.
Because I was just looking at that the whole time. Like that, the shape of it looks to me like it is clearly a whiskey bottle, but the contents are so obviously not whiskey. And then it burns like fucking gasoline when David
It
makes a
does.
Molotov out of it.
With a wet piece of
Nothing
fabric.
that you can drink will light up like that. It does not
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. No, that was either it was a gold or a mezcal that not that high proof.
It
That was-
does
yeah.
not. It will not. If he had straight up just taken a bottle of like fucking Everclear or some shit, I would almost be willing to forgive it, but that doesn't burn like that either.
With his soaking wet piece of fabric that he dipped in
Yeah,
there.
that
That's
thing's
not how
full of water
liquids
even.
work.
Yeah.
That's not going to light up like
What?
that.
It's not going to do
Like
anything.
you could make the argument that maybe the shirt was dry because he got it from inside his car.
We can suspend
like-
disbelief on that for a moment, maybe.
It still
But even
wouldn't light up.
so,
I was
it's too
looking
many
at it.
bad. It's too many wrong
It lit up
things
yellow.
lining up. Yeah.
It didn't even light
It
up
lit
like
up yellow. It's not even mostly
accelerant.
blue or
Also-
something. Like, what the fuck?
alcohol
I have a
burns pretty
nitpick as
blue.
well. Even with all of the doctoring of the footage, I think the doctoring of the footage makes this case worse, actually, because how did the guy with the dog fucking die? You're not gonna tell me, like, if you
Yeah.
get a timestamp on that footage and you look at how long that body has been dead in the fucking cold, you
It's
are
not
not
gonna
gonna
line
tell me
up.
it's gonna line up. Like, there's no
Yeah.
way. That's the one, like, and if that body's unaccounted for, then a bunch of the other stuff is going to start coming into the light and not making sense either.
Yeah.
Like the cars being driven through the window and shit.
Yeah.
Like, at that point, that's everything falls apart at that point, because it's like none of that. Oh my God, you can see on the footage that he's like touching his friend's chest and his girlfriend fell on her head at one point.
Yeah.
And it's like that proves everything, but there's a whole ass dead body lying like
Yeah.
like 3 yards that way. Like,
When you have the soaking wet man walk out of the room that has water pouring everywhere, you do have to acknowledge he was at least in the room.
right? And where did the
Yeah.
water come from? Why would he do that?
Why would he
Yeah.
do? Yeah.
Like, he's not outfitted for the snow, so he had to be inside of a space.
How did the cars happen? I know that the cameras were out so that like you could like reasonably say that at some point the car thing happened and they just
Yeah.
don't have footage of it. But like, how would one guy drive 2 cars into fucking
Yeah.
ATM?
And why would
for
he
what
sabotage
reason?
his own car?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, both
Why would
Both
he
of the
break
cars
his
at the
own
scene
window?
were now out of
Why?
condition.
Are they just gonna say he's nuts when the two
he
deaths
does
that they
look
did
nuts.
the 2 deaths that they did catch on camera, one is clearly an accident and the other is not proof of him doing anything.
Yeah.
It's like you want to claim insanity when the only proof that you have of this guy doing anything is camera footage that doesn't look like a man who's deranged. That doesn't look like
he does look really deranged. in the
He
camera
does be
footage.
looking a little bit deranged.
Eh.
You can't deny that.
Just
he
a
makes
little.
a lot
He's-
of
there's some
crazy eye
derangement
contact
there.
with the camera, while he
But
frantically hits
like
it with
that
trash
That's
and
can.
all
true. I
the
forgot about the
other-
trash can footage.
yeah, like that and everything else coming together, it's just like there's clearly something else happening here.
And it's gonna take him like 5 seconds of testifying to be like, no, there was a man here that, like, at the very least, he's not gonna be like, he might get charged for the man he actually killed, but like a greater investigation will be opened up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
obviously that investigation is going to go absolutely nowhere. They're going to look for 10 minutes and then
Oh, yeah.
give up because that's cops. But
I mean, how are they
Everyone
gonna
would
find Parka Man
figure
with the
something
parka?
out, surely.
It's
It's
a
just-
mess. I just think that, and this is exactly why I think with a little rewrites it could be tightened up, because there is something to be said there where it's like, well, if it went a specific way, like maybe like a framing device of the courtroom would be fun or something. I was talking to Noah while we were watching the movie, and I was like, if this was a real art housey film, I would kind of expect it to kind of all be told from the like POV of the security cameras.
Yeah, or like a
Like-
detective examining the scene and it's a
Mhm.
putting all the evidence together movie where they're figuring
Mm-hmm.
out this like incredibly improbable thing and there's something
And then there's, like,
happening that
a-
they can't see and the footage isn't quite lining up because there's this guy lurking just outside of camera range every time. Could be cool.
Right. Right. I don't know. I just there's a lot of this movie just doesn't make sense. My biggest thing is that these characters just do a lot of things that, like, why would a person do that? They're constantly
Yeah.
holding the door to this tiny place open in 6-degree weather. And
Yeah.
it's like,
That
guys,
pissed me off.
why
Even
are
when
you
the
doing
heaters
that?
work, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, I don't know how many of our listeners have ever walked out of even a 60-degree building into -3-degree weather, which
Don't
none of the
recommend
buildings
it.
that they were in would be that cold. Like, sure, maybe the ATM box is only 50 degrees
Sure.
because it looked pretty chilly. But like, that's what a like sensory shock.
yeah.
Why would they constantly let their heat bleed out like that?
Yeah, that's the bigger thing is after the heat gets cut off, they've got a lot more to worry about, but they just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
They stay so far apart from each other. Like,
They
I don't give
do.
a shit how
Yeah.
annoyed you are at each other. you gotta stay close to each other in that situation. You
Yeah.
cannot be sitting literally in the 3 fucking corners of this ATM, like between the booths and then on the 2 corners furthest from the booths. It's like,
Yeah.
you guys want to freeze to death? Because at this point, I'm not sure.
Yeah, they really
makeup
didn't
also
do
pissed me off.
anything that they could have. What was that? The makeup?
I liked the makeup. I thought
The makeup
was
on
okay.
Emily specifically. Everyone else's was
Emily's
really
makeup
good.
was pretty rough.
Emily's looked like they were trying to artfully make her look like she was freezing to death, and it's like, no, you got to go all out like you did with Josh Peck, because Josh Peck,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, he looked fucking awful.
he looked ill as hell.
He looked like he was
But Emily
dying.
had like a little blush around her like lower cheeks and on her nose. And
Yeah, she was just like kind of pale.
yeah.
Whereas Josh, he looked like he was recovering from an alcohol binge that had lasted 20 straight days.
Yeah,
he
looked
looks like a
he
Walking
showed
Dead
up
zombie.
very drunk, and he is dehydrated, and he's cold,
Dead
and he's
miserable.
not doing well.
And I don't know if
Yes.
this is just like in my head, but after he got that big warm coat, I thought they made him look a little bit nicer, but I might be making that up.
I don't
they
I
may
think I
have.
might be giving it too much credit,
You might have.
but I would love to believe it happened. It
Yeah.
justifies my 4-star.
I would
ranking.
love to think that they did something right on somebody, but
But we're not gonna. I do think things that they did okay in this movie. Josh Peck is an actor, and he acted, and he was the best part of this movie. He played a very believable asshole.
Mhm.
oh, totally.
I enjoyed most of his shit. The setup was good. I think that they did a good job setting up the kind of tone and the like relationships. That was fine, even if the dialogue sucked.
They did not say dildo once in this movie, which is actually really good for the era, especially with the Josh Peck character.
yeah,
I think they did fantastic in that regard.
yeah, I'll give him that too.
I hadn't even thought to be on the lookout for that.
It just hit me now that, like, in hindsight, there were far more dumb things they could have said that they didn't,
yeah,
which is comforting.
bars on the
Could have
floor,
been
but sure.
worse.
Bars on
Could
the
have been
floor, but a
worse.
lot of movies dig under it.
Yeah, it's true, especially in
that
that
they did.
era.
That they did.
What else? I was gonna say something else. The fact that here's something that bugs me again. Sorry, we're taking a break from things I liked. Why didn't he come to this scene where
thought
he
we
was
just ran
gonna
through them
kill
all.
people without a weapon? Why did he find the tire
What?
iron and then go with that?
What
Yeah.
was his plan?
He got a tire. Okay, why does a little business boy in New York? I get the tire iron. Why does he just have a toolbox with a fucking like Phillips head screwdriver? I do get why he didn't bring a
Toolbox.
weapon. I do now get why he didn't bring a weapon. It's because he wanted to make it look like David had done it, so he needed to only use things that were already there.
Sure.
So I get that.
I
But he
guess,
could
but
not have planned
who's to
this.
say that anything he brings, he could have just given to David.
That's true.
Yeah.
Also, without the toolbox, he couldn't have done half the shit that he did to make it so they couldn't just stay in the ATM machine.
Yeah.
Like the toolbox is such a deus ex machina because he used that for literally the toolbox and the hose. Without that, they literally could have just stayed in the ATM until 6.
Yeah.
They were just
Well, yeah, that's
there.
another thing, actually. The hose thing. God damn it. You just reminded me of this.
Yes.
We are shown so much during the goddamn credits of this movie to suggest that absolutely everything was planned meticulously, but then
Yeah.
Parka just showed up and looked over at the Christmas tree lot and was like, oh, hey, I could use this hose. Like, we watch him figure that out.
Yeah. Like,
so did he
and here's the
plan
thing.
anything, or
What
did
was he trying to
fucking
do?
not?
What was he there for?
What was the plan?
And that's the double issue
What
because
was his plan?
he's desperate to break into the back of the place.
Yeah.
And that had nothing to do with killing the heat. He just killed the generator or whatever outside. So there was like emergency power somewhere.
Yeah.
And he cut its power to the world, I guess. Right?
Apparently,
like,
we never see any
in that
consequences
case-
of that, actually. But
Yeah. No, we never do. We never see a single thing. And the ATM should have died at that point, first of all.
yes.
But it didn't. But the power to the heat, let's say it's just the heat. He kills the heat.
Yeah.
But he spends the rest of the movie trying to break into the back door. What is in the back door?
Nothing.
that's how he gets to the fucking grate, isn't it? To
No,
pour the
because he
water
does
in?
that from the heat vent in the roof.
yeah, we
he
never
climbs on
see
the
him
roof.
actually open that
And he
back
attaches
door.
the pipe up there. He never gets in the back door.
I think
What
it's
is
just
the
to
point?
scare them so that they don't just wait.
I don't
yeah,
know that
but,
they
like-
would even hear him trying to break into the back door.
No, they
If
did
that
though.
thing is as thick as it looks and it's all full of like concrete and shit, as they say when they try to cut through the wall,
Yep.
they wouldn't hear him trying to break into that door.
But they did. Because you could hear him banging around.
Yeah. And ultimately accomplishing
He
nothing.
could hear them talking. Which is impossible.
Somehow. Completely impossible.
But I don't know. There's so many things about this movie that don't work. So I do want to talk about some good things real quick. Because we've shit on it a lot. But there is some stuff that's worth like praising. And none of it has anything to do with the movie.
Okay.
It's more great concept. So like I love the idea of an extreme weather situation keeping people isolated while there's something dangerous. I think
Classic
that's great.
recipe for a good horror movie.
Exactly. And I think cold is something that is generally underutilized. You know, you usually have
It is
an
used an
antagonist
awful
that is
lot.
something. It is, but it's like I haven't seen a good movie that utilizes cold well in a long time.
True.
Because you have like your standbys, right? Like, oh, The Thing. Yeah. Okay, cool. We got The Thing.
The Shining.
Okay, The Shining. Cool. We got The Shining.
Frozen. It's
Frozen.
not good, but it's there.
Frozen?
Frozen?
Yeah, the one where they're stuck on a ski lift. One of the fucking Lord of the Rings boys is in it, I think.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
I think
but
that'd be
yeah.
a fun one for what you're doing here with the
I don't
single
want to watch
location
another bad
thing.
one. You already said it
It's
wasn't
not
good.
that bad.
You just
It's
said
not
it
that
was-
bad. It's
you
just
said
that
it
it's just
wasn't
that your
good.
movie sucks tore it apart on YouTube, but it's not that bad.
The Lodge
But-
also
The Lodge.
does some
See, there's
interesting
a
things
lot
with
of-
it.
There's a lot of movies that do it okay or good, but it's a concept that definitely gets beat out by alligators every year.
Are you talking about fucking Crawl? I'm thinking
Yes.
about Crawl. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about
Crawl.
Crawl.
Sucked so bad.
Fuck
I
Crawl.
would love to
Haven't
see a
seen it.
version of ATM where instead of it being winter, there's just alligators everywhere.
What's this ATM doing in the middle of the Everglades?
It doesn't make less sense.
Stay out of that ATM.
Don't go down that bank.
Throwing chicken carcasses
Ayo, I
everywhere.
get it, Jack. I got
it.
Anyway, though,
Yeah, that's
Get
the
that
parka
one
guy's
villain
thing.
from James
Instead of
Bond.
having a parka, he just has infinite dead chickens to throw out to distract the alligators.
but yeah, I loved the sound design of this movie. Now, in fairness, some of that sound design could have been wind blowing outside of my own house. It is very possible. It sounded just like it. But I did have all the doors closed well enough that it shouldn't have been.
Okay.
But I thought that there was some nice, like, made it feel colder sound effects. I loved
sure.
the cutaway to the big billboard clock and thermometer.
That's
I
a
love
good
that.
one. Yeah. I like how they use that to establish not just that it's getting colder, but also what time it is. And that's something
yeah.
actually that I was thinking about
The
while
passage
watching the
of
movie.
time.
Is these sorts of movies lots of times, like I was thinking about how it should be shorter for what it is,
Yeah.
but then I was like, well, actually, for as long as it takes to do things to make me actually care or anything, it does do a good job of showing you how long they've just been sitting in there,
Yeah.
because a lot of times these sorts of movies don't do well at showing you how long they've been
'cause
there. You don't
watching
get the
movie,
impression that
I
it's
would
been a long
guess
time.
that maybe 2 hours passes over the course of the movie.
Yeah.
Because it was midnight when they went to hit the ATM. We know it was midnight
Yeah.
because that's when Josh wanted to get money for his pizza place that's open till 2. And then the next time we see it's 2 a.m., or next time we see the clock, it's like past 2 a.m.
Yeah. And they
You know,
also have like
like-
the frost starting to build on the insides of the windows
Yeah.
and stuff.
The
They
frost
do a really
building was
good
great
job.
touch.
They do a good job convincing you that it's been a long time and it's very, very cold. And
Yeah.
that's something that it does actually pretty well.
I think if we had 3 actors who went as hard as fucking Josh Peck, honestly, here's the issue, right?
I think Alice Eve did okay.
Corey and David, I think both did okay.
I
don't
think
care.
David is the weak link on the team, actually.
I did not like David. I think Emily reacted pretty reasonably to this situation and her acting was fine. David definitely just was unlikable, and I
Okay.
hate that I was supposed to follow him.
I respect
he was
that.
just such
Yeah.
a blank
So if we had-
everyman.
If we had 3 people who were acting as hard as they could and hit at least the standard set by Josh, if not better, because there could definitely be better,
Yeah, he was fine, but
but
like,
at least hit that point, I think this movie really could work.
You know who I think they should have had in there is the I think you should leave guy, whatever his name is.
oh
I
my
think,
god,
Tim
yeah.
Robinson?
Yeah, acting the way that he usually does in I think you should leave.
If this
Oh, I
whole
love that
movie were
idea.
just an I think you should leave bit, I'd watch
Just
it.
a really long one.
I think it would be great. Are you
That's the
kidding
way
me?
to
It
save
feels
the
like
movie.
one.
That is
No,
100%
so
the way to save
everything
this
is
movie.
exactly the same except Josh Peck is replaced by Tim Robinson.
No,
we need
we
Josh
keep
Peck
Josh
and Tim
Peck.
Robinson.
Okay.
David is replaced by Tim Robinson.
Corey, please tell me you're just being cheap
Are
when you
sure?
asked me for money. Are you
Are you sure? Are you sure
Your
card isn't
ATM
working? Are
card
you
isn't
sure it's
working?
not just the
Because I'm not so
Like,
sure your ATM
this
card
shit
because
writes
you got
itself.
you got in the
he just
building,
starts-
didn't you?
At that point when they're having that conversation, like during that conversation, he starts hitting the ATM with the trash can.
Yeah.
No other preamble, just he
No
just
build
starts
to it. He goes
wailing on
right
it.
for it. Gosh, I don't know, Corey. Who do you think might be out there? Do you think it would be the old man whose 401k I lost the day before Christmas Eve? Do you think it would be him?
I'm just saying it's a possibility. Oh, it's a possibility. You lost a man's 401k? That's a
Well,
line
not
that I
on
love so
purpose.
much. She's just like, you lost his 401k? And he's like, no, I didn't lose his 401k. Well, how do you know? Well, the guy whose 401k I lost was like 60.
I don't know. What do you want me to do? Go outside and be like, hey, creepy guy in a parka. Are you the guy whose 401k that I lost today, the day before Christmas Eve? I know you were mad about that.
Since so much of I think you should leave, it's just things repeated over and over again. The whole movie would just be the conversation about the 401k. They would not talk about anything.
It would just keep coming back.
You would just get interjected with other things. You know, boom, yeah. And then we cut into a different bit.
And then it just comes
And then you
back to
cut
the
back.
ATM bit later on in the
They're still
episode.
in the ATM. It cuts back and it's like dead silent, and they're all sitting on the opposite sides with their like arms crossed, and they're all like frozen.
Corey, I don't want to talk about it.
You know what? Maybe I'll just go outside and get murdered just so I can get away from you.
Anyway,
Yeah, I think we've
Yeah.
about exhausted this movie at this.
Yeah.
If we're starting to
That's the
insert
best
Tim
case
Robinson
scenario
into
for this one.
Let
That's
me-
the best it
done,
could
let's
have
move
right?
on to the our podcast equivalent of, and I think you should leave it. Let's do Noah's Notes.
Oh yeah, Jeff. What are you thinking of the what are you thinking of doing for the what are you thinking the theme song is
Shut
gonna
the
be?
fuck up. I love it when you do the Muppet frown. It kills me every time.
No one knows what that means.
I think they can
Audio-wise.
picture it. Muppet frown is a very specific phrase. I think people can picture it.
It's time to get the Noah. It's time to read the notes. It's time to get things started on the Noah's Notes tonight.
That's pretty good.
The Muppets.
I'll take it. The Muppets.
Damn, that's what that is.
I knew I
Noah's-
had to tell you because it wouldn't be recognizable.
Right, yeah, because you did such a bad job. Okay. Noah's Notes start out with, if memory serves, this is a secret Christmas movie. And then we have 2 notes later, the song confirms this isn't even a secret Christmas movie. It's just kind of blatant. Oops, Lamau. So good job, Noah. You tried to slip one over on us, but it kind of smacked us in the face instead. It's all
I
right.
did like how
Also-
at the office Christmas party they didn't go super overboard on Christmas decorations. It came across
it
more
was-
like
it was a
the
tasteful
kind of
party.
thing that you do in real life. You throw up a couple of garlands and that's kind of it. I liked that.
One thing that I am seeing that actually is kind of a neat thing, possibly. In the beginning, you see a guy in a big parka with the fur hood,
Yeah.
without the ski mask on. I'm pretty sure that's Parka Man.
I'm
'Cause they
sure that's
focus
what they're
on him,
trying to
but
tell
it
us.
focuses beyond him, so his face blurs
Yeah,
out.
they always like don't
And I'm
focus
pretty
on
sure
him,
it's-
which was cool.
And he looks like the Eminem looking guy who was in the storage unit. So like, I think it adds up.
Yeah, and I thought that was kind of neat. The way it's like you're obviously supposed to be paying attention to him, but the camera just won't focus on him to let you.
Yeah,
That's kind of neat.
that's a cool idea.
But like that's what, a minute and a half at the beginning of the movie, and they never do anything cool like that again. So
That's when we get to the ATM box, Jeff. You
oh
know the
yes, of
ATM
course.
box.
I know about ATM boxes.
Oh, sorry. Back to the notes.
Yes, the notes. Upon Josh Peck's arrival, the notes are, there he is, the bitch. And then I love when child stars get adult roles and they just swear.
It's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Miley Cyrus is in Black Mirror as well.
She is?
Just Miley Cyrus is in Black Mirror. Yeah, it's not a good episode, but
I
I
believe
liked her part, and she gets to sing a Nine Inch Nails song at the end, and she sings the fuck out of it. So
Nice.
Which one?
yeah, no, it had like a whole she sings it because
I do love
she
that.
plays
Okay.
a pop star. She plays a pop star, and the pop star's hit song is Trent. I think Trent Reznor worked with them to rework Head Like a Hole so it had pop like poppy song lyrics, and it's easily hands down the only good part of the episode is like this poppy song, and then at the end of the movie, or at the end of the episode, she sings the way it's written, and it's like I loved it for her. It was
That's
like
kinda
the
neat.
start
You know
of
what?
her
I think
like
I might have heard part of that and not known what it
Yeah.
was from.
yeah.
Neat.
Huh.
Not a good Black Mirror episode, but it is a fun Miley Cyrus performance.
I have somehow
Um,
gotten this far without watching any Black Mirror yet, and I keep like
Oh no.
meaning to,
I
because I like the
Skip
Twilight
the-
Zone and all, but
skip
like
the
The
first
first
episode.
that's
episode
what
is
literally
not good.
everyone
It's not
says.
worth it.
Don't
The
watch the
second
first
one-
one.
The first time I watched it, I thought about it for 3 days. And then after that, there were a couple other episodes that did that to me too. White Christmas and the Star Trek episode are my two favorites.
There's no reason to watch the man fuck the pig.
There's no
Yeah,
reason to
that's-
watch the man fuck.
that's kinda
the
what
pig.
I
It's
figured.
not even good. It's like there are episodes that tackle all of the concepts from that episode better.
Mhm.
The social media, the pressure on like public figures, all of that's addressed better in other episodes of the same show.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Back to the notes.
Okay.
he told that stupid story. He got interrupted like 5 times at the party and people were ragging on him, and he told the punchline and nobody laughed. And it was so awkward.
That's how
And
I feel
Noah's
every
notes-
time I tell a story.
Me
I think it was a
too.
good story.
It
I thought
was
it was
funny
a
enough.
funny enough punchline.
Yeah, no, it was like a story that I would chuckle at in
And
a
here's the
social
issue
setting.
though. Delivery, not a problem. But you gotta consider the source, and I think that's when no one laughed.
Everyone's like, fucking
Although-
Corey, shut the fuck up, man.
Also, when he finished the story and that one dude was like, "So did you pay for it though?" I feel like that'd be me, because every time
Yeah.
I hear somebody say something like that, the thing that I like end up sticking with is, "Oh, but did he actually pay for it? Like, did it work?"
Mood. I that the whole like early on chemistry between the two romantic leads, quote unquote, is awful.
Oh, yeah.
It's she like is leaving the party and he like starts a conversation with her. It's so awkward. I'd be so done. She says like
It's
that she was nervous about
realistically
talking
awkward,
to him
I'd
and that
say.
she was interested in him. I don't fucking buy that. She does
My-
not look interested in him when he comes up. Noah's notes say
Yeah,
that
that's
look
the
of done
thing.
with this conversation that she had on her face doesn't pair with the actual interest in him.
Yeah, because as
Yeah.
she walks away from her, like, oh, we'll see each other someday. And he's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, we'll see each other sometime. And then as she turns away, the face is full
Yeah.
of disgust.
I
She's
was
like-
kind of wondering if that was
That was definitely a
intentional.
mistake. No,
Like-
that was definitely
Like
a mistake.
it seems like the dialogue is written to try and convince us that she's actually into him, right? But I wonder if like
But that initial
as an
performance makes me
actress,
think
did
she's
she
not.
have in her mind like, no, she wouldn't be interested in this guy. She's
Yeah,
trying to
no,
get him
like
to shut up.
did they tell her that her character was interested
'Cause-
in him?
yeah,
Because
like-
That's part of the first draft of the script where they were not interested, and then they didn't bother.
they had a
reshooting.
Stockholm syndrome
Yeah.
kind of thing go on instead of them actually being interested in each
She
other.
just seems so uncomfortable the whole time that she's in his
the
car.
whole time.
And like,
I would buy her and Corey before I'd buy her and David. Cause she's like laughing at his fucking stupid jokes and
she
shit.
did laugh at his jokes, didn't she? Why would she do
She's-
that? He's not
And
funny.
David's like, we should like just drop him off and shit. It like we don't need to entertain him. And she's like, no, it's fine. And it's like, if I really liked David, I would be Team David on this one. I'd be like, get this fucker out
let's
of the
just
car.
ditch him.
Instead, she's like, no, she's too polite. You know what? She is a woman in finance, though, so I'll
It
give her
seems that makes it seem even more like she's not interested in David, though, right? Like,
Right?
let's keep him so I don't have to be alone with you. Like,
that. Yeah, that's definitely what it feels like. Ugh. Anyway, why did they park so far away from the ATM? Like they could have been so much closer. Agreed.
yeah.
I might be a weirdo who parks near the back of the Wegmans parking lot when I have to go to the fucking store, but that's just because
Sure.
I don't want to back out of a crowded parking lot.
Oh, yeah.
I have my reasons. An
That's a different
ATM in
situation,
negative
though.
3-degree weather,
Yeah.
an empty ATM parking lot. I am pulling up borderline right to the door, especially if I'm just dropping my friend off and he's supposed to just go inside and swipe his card and come back out again.
Yeah.
I am like parked outside just waiting for him to be done. There's no reason
Now-
to park and make him walk over there.
Here, I think I think this is a relic of perhaps a script rewrite. Because if Corey was the one driving and
Mhm.
David was the one who needed to make the stop at the ATM, Corey would park too far away and be like, walk, bitch. He
Yeah.
would do
Yes.
that. And he makes a joke
be
about
funny.
it when David parks the car. But David, like, doesn't say anything. He just stops the car that far away and Corey has to walk all that far. He doesn't actually say why. He doesn't say, I want to inconvenience you because you're inconveniencing me or anything.
It's implied, but like this
But
movie is
he's-
so overt in every other setting.
Yeah.
Why is this so subtle?
I think maybe in an earlier
Not even like
version
a
of the
gesture like,
script. Yeah, like, and I shudder to say this even, to think that there were multiple versions of this script and this is the one that got put out. But like, I feel
Right.
like in an earlier version of the script, it was Corey's car. And they just forgot to patch that up when they changed it because it didn't matter
No,
enough.
because I don't think there was ever gonna be a case where Corey was drunk driving himself home.
Yeah. Because he would be drunk
Yeah.
either way. You
Yeah,
can't
no, without
rewrite
a
this
doubt.
movie without Corey being drunk.
My thing
No.
was maybe they switched Corey and David's personalities, if that's the case. But then we're just to the point, like maybe the one who was interested in her was the douchebag. But that doesn't make sense because if he's too awkward to talk to her, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
There's no world in which them parking that far away from the ATM makes sense.
No,
None
it's
whatsoever.
just a weird plot device.
Yeah.
We have, they could have gotten to the car while he killed the heat, but okay. Yeah. Okay. At that point,
Yeah.
yeah. When he went around the building for the first time, it's like, oh, he's not standing directly in front of us. We have a clear path to the car. There is no world in which we don't make it to the fucking car. Just
Yeah.
go. He
There
doesn't
are
even
so
know
many
that they open the
points.
door.
Yeah.
Just open the door and go.
There are so many points in the movie where he is occupied for long enough that they could get to the car without him even noticing, conceivably.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
Emily thinking there's the justifications that they try to give these characters so that they don't do the logical thing where the characters overthink shit that people would never overthink. She's
Right.
like, oh my God, what if there's more than one killer? What?
Yeah,
You saw this
right?
man walk over and just stomp someone's head in. Why
Yeah.
would he need, like, what, in what world? He's not talked to anyone on the phone. He's not contacted anyone. He's not acting like the fucking Scream twins where they're like
Yeah.
freaking out to each other. He's just like, he's clearly operating on his own. If he had like done that much, if there is more than one person and they're fine with one person standing in clear view, then why don't they have the other person go around to the back so that they don't
Yeah.
know there's more than one person? Why would they have the only one that they've seen kill someone go around and do the thing on the other side? So
Yeah, like there is
what?
never any reason to actually suspect that.
There really isn't.
Mhm.
They acknowledge that he just murdered a man for no reason, and then they spend a lot of time searching for the motive of the killer. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
why us? And it's like, clearly there's no reason because he just stomped a man's head in. There is no way that they would think that either. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
BRB getting a picture of my wife and kids from my wallet so whoever murders me in an icebox ATM will feel bad about it. Yeah.
That scene, during that, I started thinking about, like, if I got murdered on my way to an ATM, what might someone deduce about my life based on the contents of my pockets? And I was like, nothing.
Nothing.
Absolutely
No,
nothing. They would be able to
no.
find out who I got some of my tattoos from, and they might
Right.
figure out the fact that I'm a musician. Mostly they would notice that I don't use gift cards very often, but I possess a bunch of them. That's all they would
Yes.
learn.
Yeah, no, literally the same thing. I think they would be able to deduce about as much from both of us. And like the dialogue is so awkward because like the one person it's so middle school like playwriting. That's what it
is.
feels like. Is there
It
like
really
he's like,
is.
well, it probably wasn't that big of a deal, and then the other person's like, he had a wife and kids, and they just but what if this he was going to work? It's like,
You don't know
shit, what
that.
are you doing? Stop talking.
Oh,
I liked how the guy that they killed was a janitor in a blue jumpsuit because that could be like a nod to Michael. That's kind of neat.
yeah.
I had that thought where you were like looking at him dead on the floor and you're like, oh, it's a guy in like a blue jumpsuit. That
I
seems
might have assumed
intentional.
he was a killer as well.
Yeah,
because
because
that's how they
I
look.
watch a lot of movies. But
Yeah.
yeah, no. Noah has bitch ass got clotheslined here for Corey, which is
Poor
funny
Corey.
because the clotheslining made no sense to me. I
It
thought he
makes
just
no
slipped on
sense.
ice. Like
The
if
clotheslining
he had
makes
just
no
slipped on
sense
ice,
whatsoever.
if he had just slipped on ice, it would have been
Yeah.
more believable and more tragic because then it's not fucking orchestrated. It's just like you're running
Yeah.
away.
Well, and when
Like
did he
in,
put that
um,
line
No,
up? When?
It's orchestrated from the line of wire that he found in freaking the toolbox in the trunk.
It's so stupid.
Yeah,
Ice
like-
is a
Bring
thing.
anything with him.
He slips on ice later on in the movie, doesn't
Yeah.
he? Like
It
like,
could be a
why can't we
consistent
just have
beat that there's a
people-
lot of ice and you slip on it a lot.
Like, even just a line at the beginning of, like, why don't you part me closer? There's so much fucking ice. And he's like,
Yeah.
suffer, bitch.
Yeah.
And, like, that would have set up a
Anything-
few things.
Context would kill in this movie.
Honestly.
Yeah.
That's why it does feel like a first draft, is because there's so many things that, like, it would be so easy to fix.
It feels like a fragment of a first draft.
It does. There's so little to talk about because the whole movie is just tense moment after tense moment. Like, it's cold and they're in a closed space. It's just scary, and that's about it. That's the most positive shit you've said about this movie. There it
The
is.
tension-
I mean,
never-
that's the whole movie.
The tension
Like,
never
that's all it is.
changes over the course
Yeah,
of the
No, it
movie.
doesn't.
There is never
Which
a
makes it
change
feel not
in the
tense
threat.
anymore.
It is the same
And that-
tension over the same
Yep.
threat
Yes.
the whole time.
Because every now and then, in theory, it lightens up, but every time it gets worse, it doesn't actually get worse. It's just a new
Yeah.
facet to the same thing.
yeah.
Because your tension gets let out by being angry at them for holding the door open for so long.
Yeah. Like the only time
There's a
that
few people that gave this movie a 5-star review on Letterboxd, by the way.
really, I would love
Yeah,
to talk to
there's
them
like
about
mo-
why that is.
Yeah,
I would love to
there's
hear
like-
somebody talk about why they
more than
love
one.
this movie. Like, just who? Why? Why? A 5-star
Yeah.
review. Did they say anything?
There are 78 5-star reviews.
That's too many.
But the highest written review is a 3-star review.
Is it? Scroll back up to the top because I don't think you're sorted by high. You're sort by when.
But
Yeah, there's some 5. The top review from December of 2021. Why did Josh Peck go through so much?
there's okay, so let's see. Saw this on Netflix back in
What do you-
2013, loved it, finally decided to pick up a copy on eBay a few weeks ago, sat down knowing full well this probably isn't 5 stars, but that's how I rated it when I joined Letterboxd. I'm such a sucker for stupid films like this where people are trapped. This is a bad take.
I
That's
mean,
a very
I will.
bad take.
No, I like their next line, which is while I was underwhelmed by my revisit, I refused to downgrade my rating. That it feels like someone who just kind of has nostalgia goggles on. So I'm not going to be too mean to them.
Yeah, but then
Noah
there's other
giving
people that say
Halloween
that there
9
was a
stars.
good twist ending.
No, there's not.
Yeah.
There's not even a twist.
This one guy says in Spanish, or yeah, in Portuguese, what a film, my friends. No, you're
it is-
incorrect.
It is
Absolutely
a movie.
5 stars.
He's not
I
wrong in
didn't know
calling it one,
Letterboxd was
but-
this old. I didn't know it was a 2016 as far back as some of these reviews are coming from. Wild. But yeah, no. It's not a good movie.
No,
It doesn't deserve all the 5-star reviews it has
No.
on Letterboxd. Luckily though, there's way more not 5-star reviews.
Yeah.
In fact, the highest number is 1,400 2-star reviews.
Mm, okay.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it about this movie,
That's about all we've
honestly.
got.
I who's next? Is it me?
It is you.
We're watching Ready or Not next week.
We're watching Ready or
Alright.
Not next time. Ready or Not's a fun movie.
It's kind of a stuck in one place, except the one place is
not.
a giant fucking mansion, so
It's
not really. But it's very fun. I like it a lot. I think it's genuinely good. So,
Any
um,
content warning we should know about?
content warnings, demon stuff, demon worship, cults. I know that was something that one of my friends who saw in theaters was like not expecting. So that's kind of important, I think. There's a
I
lot
certainly
of
wouldn't have expected it.
there's some eye stuff as far as the gore goes. I remember there
Ugh.
being some pretty gross like eye stuff that happened.
Yikes.
It's very gory. I'm a content warning for I think a little more gore than normal. And a lot of those like gut punching like kill moments where it's just like you didn't expect it to happen and then it happens and you kind of feel your heart drop a little. But yeah. I think other than that, someone on the like does the dog die or Common Sense Media rather said that this movie contains positive role models. So a couple people have said that. I agree.
Yeah.
I fully agree.
One person said not to watch. They gave it a 2-star because they liked it at first, but then it got dark and satanic.
Yes, that's what
It's like-
what my friend said, but to their credit, they have like actual issues with that kind of thing. So like that's understandable from them, but from like parents, shut up, dude, it's a
from
horror
like
movie.
just somebody.
I want
like,
my
come
horror
on.
movies to not be dark.
Common Sense says 16 and up can watch it. Parents say 15 and up can watch it, and kids say 14 and up can
That's
watch it.
so funny. I love
I
Common
feel
Sense.
like maybe they shouldn't have asked the kids, but okay.
But yeah, yeah, it's a good movie. I'm excited to talk about it. I think that's it. I don't know. There's a lot of swearing. If there are any specific slurs,
Oh,
I don't
no.
remember them. It's been like over a year and a half since I watched it. So, yeah, all I remember is
There
the
we go.
eye thing because it stuck with me.
They do that.
They do. Yeah, I don't know.
There we go.
That's it. That's it for that.
Thanks for tuning in this week, everybody. Make sure to follow Casual Obsession at Casual Horror Pod on Twitter. Emma runs that and keeps you up to date on things. Thanks for listening to this episode. You can find me as Bubbadabad, Bubbadabad on Twitch, Twitter, and Insta. Going back to Twitch streaming soon, knock on wood. And now that I'm down to one job, I should be tweeting more often too. Hopefully, more unhinged and lying about liquor than ever before.
Super fun.
I do look forward to you lying more about liquor.
It is very entertaining. You can find me, Nina, at Nina Wolverina on Twitter, at House Usher Rises, also on Twitter, where I retweet some like horror art and maybe make some horror takes. Yeah, I wrote a book. It's out there in the world. You can
God.
find links in my Twitter. I've been talking a lot about it.
Can't
Other
believe it.
than that, it's not a horror, but I do write horror too. You can ask me about that in our Discord server, which you can find.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. But yeah, no.
Also under the Casual Horror Pod tag.
It
You
is.
can find us there.
So go check that out. And maybe chat with us. Thanks a lot.
Wait, what about Jeff?
No, I'm letting Jeff can go. that was me closing off my thing. Jeff
It
is
was
fine.
such a definitive
Just
closing
go.
out.
Just no.
You can find me on Twitter at Bubba Wubba Dab and on Instagram and TikTok at the Hammer of Jeff.
Can't believe you made Jeff cry.
I'm sorry, Jeff.
And then the great window lit up again.
Thank you guys so much for listening.
Again, my
We'll
window
see you
is
next
darker
time.
in person. You've got to believe me here.
We don't believe Jeff about the window, and tune in next time to see if we've learned from our mistakes. We won't.